I love it. You guys are all here. Welcome to today's episode, Cold to Gold. What is this all about? Well, literally, we have sourced the gem of all gems when it comes to social selling. And Kevin D. Turner is here. And the reason why he's here is because this guy has an over 80% cold connection acceptance rate. What does that mean? It means that he's doing something right. And he's also here to share with you guys his strategies. So, of course, always welcome to the show, Kevin Turner. So glad to have you here. And also, oh, what a gift you are on so many levels: personal branding, not blanding, and all things LinkedIn. I rely on your stats and your testing and all of your reports day to day and share them generously with my clients. So today we are talking about social selling. I'm using air quotes because I feel like that's like a term that people on the inside really understand if you've been in sales, but maybe not necessarily people who are in their job search or just on LinkedIn to build their network. Just give us the down low on what is social selling? What does that really mean?
Well, and I think it's fascinating because I think most people think they understand it, right, Lauren? They
Right.
think they understand it, but what they're really doing is selling socially.
Mm.
And that's a problem. It's not what it's supposed to be. And to
Ooh.
me, social selling kind of grew out of the roots of consultative selling, where you asked questions, you listened more than you spoke, right? And you provided information that helped that client, potential client, make a decision and choose your services, product, whatever it was. That was kind of prior to all this internet social platforms. And that's where social selling came in. And it's really about building relationships before any transaction happens.
Ooh,
And people
stop.
forget that.
Wait, this is pivotal. Building relationships. This is where the neon sign comes in before any transaction happens.
Absolutely. And people forget that. And people push it a little harder than they should to get it to that transaction. And it becomes very apparent that the relationship somebody might want with me or I might want with them in that process is not mutually beneficial, right?
Oh,
We're
I'm
not really
so
there to be friends when we see that, and that's a roadblock in the process. We all have a lot of information to share, and I encourage people to share what they know and to help others get the word out as well, right? To support them in their process. And that's one of the building blocks in a trusted relationship is sharing of information, helping others be better, right? In the process, you're helping yourself, hopefully, because hopefully you're learning and building that relationship in that process of doing that. So really, really critical to think about it as a mutually beneficial relationship that you want to build. One of
before
my
you go ahead and ask for anything, right?
What's that?
Before you go ahead and ask for anything.
You shouldn't really have to ask for anything, right? You
Right.
should be able to position things so that the other person says, would you like to know about? Can I help you with? Right?
Right.
Because they know your interests and they know what you're
Absolutely.
sharing. And if you do it correctly, it's a nuance to it. If you do it correctly, they're asking you what you would like to ask them, right?
Mm.
Huge difference. One of my favorite authors out there, Bob Burg, author of the Go Giver, that people do business with and refer business to people that they know, like, and trust, right? That's what we're here to build in kind of this social selling process, or I just call it social because I think people get bogged down in the selling component,
I
right?
agree. I
It will
totally
sell
agree.
itself if you do it correctly. And
Yeah,
so,
I think with all your amazing branding and moving away from blanding, that you should really redefine social selling. That's your challenge for the day, because I think that I think that it literally sends a signal that you are pushing your agenda on the other person by selling it. And that's not what we're talking about, right? And when you say there's a lot of information that you have to share, it's not just sharing, I'm looking for a job, I'm amazing, I'm this, I'm that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, in the somewhat generic but very specific.
You could say, I've been targeting companies, right? I've been building lists of targeting companies and getting org charts and getting data that might be emails and phone numbers and stuff like this. I'd love to share with you how I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm using this in my own job search, and I'd like to help you. So let me, help you do that.
Totally.
That is an offer that immediately somebody on the other side is thinking, well, how can I help Kevin find that job?
Right.
Because he's a good guy and he's helping me. So you can turn it by making those offers.
You're kickstarting the process. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Commercial break. Jeff Young, thanks so much for joining. Frederico, thank you. Sandra Clark, Nigel, one of my favorites, Robin Merle, Jenny Fuss, saw you yesterday. Erica, great to have you. Asha, Karen, we have so many people. And the amazing John Asperian, dig the well before you're thirsty. Hello. Brenda, second cup. I love it. Me too. Got it in my head. I like it. Stephanie and Kelly. So many great people. Okay, awesome. And who else? Charity. Thank you so much for joining. So Absolutely. What we're going to also move this social selling or socializing process to build know, like, and trust. We're going to start moving this over to how this works with cold connections, right? Mm-hmm. How does this work with cold connections? And since you are the master at this, tell the audience here what your either criteria is and what your process is, assuming, which has not happened, assuming I am your cold connection. So you see me on LinkedIn, now what?
And maybe I shouldn't have to mention this, but you got to make sure you've got your own basics down right? Your brand is there. It's easy to understand. I can go to your profile and it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that's done, because I've seen too many people move out there and start promoting things, and you go back to their profile and you're like, no background banner, no picture that you can see, and it's dull and dreary. It is that personal branding. So get that fixed first, right?
Don't let the disappointment come when they go and check you out.
Exactly, because you can lose a lot of good work that way. And people do. They lose a lot of good work because they're getting him to show up and they're going right past it. They're like, it wasn't what I thought it was. Don't know who's writing his script when he's out there, but this is not it.
Next, right.
Get that basic right. Make sure they understand what the value is that you bring to the table, because you want to drive them back to that profile, and you want to drive them into potentially DMing you, right? Communicating with you. And that's a big piece of that. Now, to get where you need to go is you need to know who that target audience is, right? Company-wise, people-wise, you need to know who they are, and you need to start following them on LinkedIn.
Okay, so wait. Here's what you said. I'm going to just do a recap. Number one, make sure your profile is engaging, because if you get them there and they're like, I have no idea, you're a ghost, no profile picture, no branding, no personal, nothing on your banner. I don't know what your title is, and I don't know what the impact of what that title is.
There's so much on there, I'm confused.
Right. Or I'm like, I'm lost. And then identify who your audience is, who's your vertical, who are the people that you want to build relationships with. And now the third step is learn about them.
Absolutely.
Right?
So you're going to be checking out profiles, company pages. You're going to be learning about them in that sense. You're looking for commonalities, right? went to the same school, both lived in Germany or something like that, right? You're looking for those commonalities that you can bring up in the process, right? That will unite you with the other individuals. So those are always things you want to look at. Same thing with, business companies. One of the things I have found is a great opportunity in uniting is not what we have in common, but what I have that you want, right? So let's say you're selling a particular SAFT system, right? And I've used the competitor system as a consumer, right? As a company, I've had time on that. I've done hundreds of hours using that. And hey, would you like to get together and have a conversation about how your product's different from the product that I've used? Maybe I can give you some insight. Would you be open to that? So, sometimes it's not just looking for the commonalities, but it's looking for the pieces that they need to finish their puzzle. Right?
Oh, I love that. And this is gold. Here we go. Tom, thank you. Whew. The challenge people have with social selling best practices is it takes longer. And we live in an instant gratification world. So one of the things that I think is probably very true is you can't have it both ways. You can't expect to build relationships without the build, because then it will not be effective, right? Yeah. So you're right.
It may not be your only approach.
It does take longer.
Right? It may not be your only approach. You may be working other approaches, right? You may be going to conventions and being in a booth. And so you're getting leads other ways. You're closing sales other ways. This is basically an opportunity funnel that you're creating. And anytime you're creating a funnel, it takes an investment in time.
Ooh, an opportunity funnel. I love that too.
And that's basically what you're doing. So you're building that. But the thing is, it doesn't all come together 2 years later. It starts to come in as you're building. So as you're investing that time, weeks, months, the opportunities are starting to come through.
Right. So the opportunity funnel has a cumulative approach, and it's happening in real time, right? It's not like, okay, opportunities are ready,
And the other component of that is when they do know, like, and trust you, right? When they've got that relationship with you, and they've got to go pick whatever that service or product is, they remember you, they're comfortable with you, they come to you. It's the world's easiest sale, right?
Yeah.
When you go to them and you're trying to tackle them and say, listen to me, right? You're basically showing up with your hat in your hand saying, I'm a really good deal. Will you take a look at me? Let me badger you until you will. That is a hard sale. That sale actually takes longer once you've started to feed this funnel. The other sales are coming to you and they're basically saying, hey, you've got a great product. Will you sell it to me?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. Sure I will.
I love this.
That's where you want to be. And that's where you save the time, is on the other end. And because they're already bought in, they're always a happier client, a happier customer going forward, because they made the choice and they made you sell it to them, right?
Yes.
That's a huge difference. And that's where those same people, they become your champions. They go out there and they say, you know what, if you're going to do a profile optimization, you better talk to Kevin, because he did mine and it landed in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Because of it, you got to go to him, right? Or if you want coaching, it's definitely Lauren. She knows the ins and outs. She can get you landed fast, and you're going to do better than you ever did before. Those are the champions you want out there. And you don't get them when you push a sale upon them.
Oh my God.
Even if you get the sale done, they're never really going to be a champion.
Never, right.
Man, Lauren, you beat the heck out of me. I love your product, but I'm not really crazy about it yet. Right?
That works for job seekers too, because I have yet to meet a job seeker that doesn't say, I don't want to be found. Sure. Right? We all want to be found if you're in the marketplace. So building that know, like, and trust, and that getting to know you portion of that relationship. And it doesn't always have to be at the hiring
Mhm.
decision maker level. I think that many people think, well, I shouldn't necessarily build that relationship with somebody who is not my peer or,
Yeah.
my superior.
And what is interesting too, if you look at most organizations, they do a employee incentive. If you bring somebody in and they get hired, right?
Totally.
They usually stop that at a director level and lower, right? So if you're looking to get in, even as a VP, make relationships with directors and sales managers and whatever that fit in that company that you can have a relationship with. And when it comes time, you can actually ask them, hey, do you have an employee referral program? Most of the time they don't know, right? They'll go, I'll go check. And they go check. On average, it's about $1,500. Who couldn't use $1,500 any given time, right? Just for going in there and presenting you. And so they turn into the person that will say, oh yeah, I'll throw your resume on their desk, right? And you don't know if they do it or not. They might just throw it in their circular folder, right? You don't know. It turns them into, now I've got, something in the game. I'm going to go make sure this is turned in, and I'm going to talk highly about you, and I'm going to follow it up, see what's going on. And companies know that if you have relationships inside of companies and they like you, they know you're going to be a cultural fit. They know you're going to be a better employee in the long run. So they value those things. It's a quick way to get that kind of working for you. When I worked at American Heart Association, this was fascinating. They had a referral program, 10 grand per employee you brought in, because they were paying recruiters like 30 grand. So they thought, we save money, right? You get 5 when they come in, you get another 5 at the end of the year. So they made it a year, right? So you get 10 grand total. I actually took that program and I went and I looked for people that would fit jobs that I saw openings to. And I said, hey, would you like to have a conversation? Because I think it'd be a perfect match. Have you ever thought about, right? Working for a nonprofit, waking up every morning, feeling good because you're saving lives, blah, blah, blah. I would go out there and do that and bring them in. And I think I brought in 10 people that first year. And
so that's major bank, right?
I wanted the person there per se. I love the people because I actually got great relationships with them now, but I did do it for the incentive.
I think that your point to this is very important, that oftentimes they cap off who receives that employee referral because those people are theoretically already making a significant amount of money that it's not going to be as much of an incentive for them.
Yeah. And they're also setting the kind of the vision, the tone for the company. So they shouldn't be swayed by making extra money by bringing people in, right? And that's sometimes why they also cut it off at a certain level, because they affect the overall company and they don't want them to be swayed by another reason.
Completely. Right? I do want to throw this up here from Jeff Young. I think that this is a great way to remember it. Instant never tastes the same as home cooked. So savor the flavor. And what he's referring to here is taking the time to actually home cook your own outreach, not just send something that is out of the can, right? And because that doesn't really work. So what I want to figure out is, now that you've done all of this, right? You've done, and this comes from Sam McKenna, who is a colleague of Amy Volas, the Show Me You Know Me, right? So I did not make that up, but man, do I like that idea, right? Show Me You Know Me, which is happening in the know, like, and trust portion of that, warming process.
Absolutely.
Now what? Now they've accepted. Let's just pretend there's no dialogue, but they've accepted your connection request. So you made it through the first hoop.
Yeah.
Now, how do you take what is gone from cold to warm and to move it to the next degree?
And I do a couple things even in that process. When somebody accepts an invite or even sends me an invite, first thing I'm doing is, depending on the individual, I'm either sending them back a voice message or a video message, because it connects people when they hear voices or see people. And so I do that. that to me is a distinguisher.
And what would it sound like? Give it to us, Kevin.
Oh,
Give
Lauren, thank you so much for connecting. I follow what you say out there on LinkedIn, and I'm fascinated. I support you. Love to, talk a little more. Let's have a call, or, if that doesn't work for you, we can figure out something else. But I'm definitely here for you. And I really do appreciate the fact that you connected with me. Here's to more collaboration on LinkedIn. Have an incredible day. And so you leave messages like that. And people on the other side are like, wow. Sometimes it's the first audio or video message I've ever gotten. That's cool. Didn't know it could happen. They go back and say, can you tell me how you do that? Right. And I got a little script that I shoot back to them. So you're already exchanging, right? There's already that exchange. Another component of that is, and technically in a way, that's like a free gift, right? You've just given them something that they didn't know they had.
Mm-hmm.
You can do other things like that. You can say, I understand you're launching this product. I've got some insights, because of my time here, and here. Is there anything that you'd like to ask me that might help you? Right. Doesn't cost me anything but a little bit of time. And then I've got a communication, and what normally happens in that process is they say, absolutely, Kevin, I'd like to do that. And when you're done, they're like, what can I do for you?
Right.
Or, hey, I noticed you're doing this. Can I help you here? Right. And that's how relationships grow.
So big love in the chat here to video messages and to voice notes, right? Video messages can only be done through the mobile app, so don't know about that feature. Deanna, oh yes, they are awesome. So awesome. They make that DM human. Rachel, I sent a bunch of voice and messages this morning. Took no time at all, right? It is so efficient. And wow, who doesn't want to hear
one other step to that too? Because we live in a global world, right? People even have spellings that sound the same, but they pronounce them differently, right? So as you're doing this, go to their profile. If they've got that little speaker next to, the name there, click it, find out how to pronounce their name before you send that audio or video. So you don't look like a fool, right? First of all,
and if you're sending it to me and you don't know, I'm not Lauren Grief. Okay. Yeah. Right.
I don't know how many people have actually replied back. You're the first person on LinkedIn to get my name right. Well, I wasn't that brilliant. I just told, and I would tell them, you know what? I went and I checked on your pronunciation because I wasn't sure and I wanted to be sure. And they think, you're respecting me in this process. Nobody else does that.
Right.
So sometimes those little, the little differences can make all the difference. And that's what you need to tie into.
Especially if you're interviewing. Oh my goodness. Please. Yes, Brenda. Oh my goodness. Sing it from the rooftops. Third cup of coffee. Great point. Check out the name pronunciation first. Yes. And here's John. I send video intros all the time by a desktop with the Chrome extension for Vidyard. Loom and other tools are out there that do the same. Okay, really helpful.
Absolutely.
Yes. Deanna, pronounce the name right. It's Deanna, not Dina. Thank you. I love that. All right. So these are some great tips. And so now what we're going to do is I really want to understand from you what people should be thinking about is a good benchmark so that they can test themselves, right? So if your cold connection rate is over 80%, what if I'm a newbie? What should I be aspiring to, and where should potential benchmarks be?
Well, and some of that depends on your goals on LinkedIn, right? Sure. What do you want? Sure. What are you doing? If you're in job search mode, you're probably going to want to build relationships a little faster, right? A little more frequently. If you're established and you're just looking for, one or two more really like-minded people that you can enjoy, then, you slow the pace down a little bit. You go for more, I guess, quality than quantity, right? It all depends. But if you're just starting out, if you're in that job search, I would try to create those opportunities with probably somewhere between 3 to 5 people a day.
Right. And so okay, so let's say I've reached out to 5 cold connection requests a day. So that's if I do that 5 days a week, that's 25.
Yeah. Now I would say don't make them completely cold, right?
Right. No.
Warm them up first. Follow them, comment.
I'm saying with your Turner methodology, right?
You got it. So a little warmer than cold, but that's going to make the difference, and really kind of target in that way. That's going to help you build. LinkedIn itself is a fascinating system. They actually have the patent for 6 degrees of separation, which means in 6 handshakes, you can meet anybody in the world. The more initial handshakes you have, the less you need to get to anybody in the world, right? And so by building a network that is both strong, it's quality, and it has a size to it, you are increasing not only who you can find, but who can find you. And it's the reason that LinkedIn is wildly profitable as a social platform. Nobody else is. LinkedIn is wildly profitable because what they've figured out is if I cut you off at the 3rd degree, right, I can sell you to the other 3 or the other 3 to you. That's Sales Navigator. That's Talent Solutions. They figured it out. They got it right. And, to me, that's incredible. Now, as you're building this network and you're getting these first level connections, if you do a people search, you go in there and, you do a people search, just straight people search, and you go to where it says level of connection and you select 2nd level, right? Because you already know your 1st level. You go to the 2nd level, you might even select a company, right? I'm targeting IBM. 2nd level, I see that there are 8 people in my network at IBM and they've got the right positions, right? And then right within the space that's telling me about that individual, it tells me who my 1st level connections are to that 2nd level, right? So I see Jane, I want to talk to Jane, and Jane's connected with Bob. I'm going to have a call with Bob because I've got a great relationship built with Bob. Bob, what can you tell me? I'm really interested in IBM. I see you've got a couple connections in there. Jane would be somebody that I'd really like to talk to. What can you tell me about her?
Right.
Don't ask, can you introduce me? What can you tell me about her? What is she like? I know you're connected, so you must have a great relationship, and so you build it that way. And they're actually going to get to the point to say, Lauren, can I make that introduction to Jane for you?
Bing, bing,
you didn't ask for it.
You didn't ask for
it. You.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's sometimes a game, right? Whoever says it first loses. They always say that in the sales game, right? Whoever says, can you do this for me, first loses, right? So you really want them to get to that point. They're almost begging. They're going, I know he's going to ask, but he's not asking. I know he's going to ask. He's not. And they're like, they just have to blurt it out, right? Hey, can we make that introduction for you?
Completely. Okay, so I want to offer this. I'm so glad that everybody hung around, because if you don't know this tip, this is like, it may sound very obvious, but here it is. Tell us, Kevin, about the green dots.
Green dots on LinkedIn, when you go to somebody's profile, or even if you see them commenting, right? Often you'll see a green dot, or you'll see a white dot with a green circle around it.
What's the difference?
I guess the bottom right of their picture, right? That's a signal that they're currently active or connected to LinkedIn at that moment, right? The solid green means they're on desktop.
Right.
The green with the white circle in the middle means they're on mobile. So sometimes the way you communicate with people, you always want to be there when they're present, right? That's what that green says. It's go, right? It's not red for stop. It's they're active right now. And then how do you communicate with them is different depending on that. Mobile, you can look at them. You can see what age they are. You can decide, is that something that I can do in a DM? Is it something that I can do, with a voice message? Is it, something I could send a blank invite to? Because this group in tech at this age that only use mobile, they like blank invites, right? So that happens. There's a percentage of them. The other people, desktop, a little more traditional. They're at a certain level in their organization. They're going to want, the official full out invitation if you're going to connect with them or anything like that, or you're communicating with them, they want to know the details, right? You want to get it in there. So it gives you some data points that most people don't even pay attention to, and it can make you really successful.
Totally.
If that light isn't on, that's not the time to send them a message, because guess when we respond to messages best?
When we're active.
Right. And if we're active and we get one, we want to get it off the table, right? We go right after it. If it sits there and I'm active tomorrow at 2, I might not ever find it, right?
Exactly.
My DMs sometimes look like a one-armed bandit in Vegas, right?
Right. And that's
you're trying to catch up with it,
right? That causes more frustration and maybe even some bad assumptions that this person ghosted me.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you are keen about what that signal is about, you'll know, hey, this is a good time to strike, right?
Yeah.
And so if they are not online at all, what would that signal be?
You could go to their profile, look at their activity. If there's no activity for the last 90 days, that means that person put together a profile but doesn't play. Doesn't play on the end. So that's a different approach, right? You can go out, you can get data on information. You can, again, look at your first level, who's connected to them, right? Mm-hmm. They can make introductions. They can also sometimes provide contact information and ways that individual likes to meet. Maybe they always go to the Chamber of Commerce every Wednesday, right?
That's better.
Boom.
Right. Exactly.
So there are all sorts of different ways that you can kind of figure out how to get to that individual who is not on in, and you do it a little differently. One of my favorite, I guess, posts in the last month was a lady who wanted to get into the UX at Google. She wanted to get in this particular department. She knew everybody in the department from LinkedIn. Nobody would respond to her DMs, her connection requests, her emails, anything. Boom. They wouldn't pick up the phone, kind of like LinkedIn, right? She sent them a cake with her resume on the cake. And they read it, right? They kept it. And actually, the lady that delivered the cake, single mom, said, I'm so inspired. I'm going to do something like this because I've got a similar background. I want to work for Google. So she actually got placed by the first person's post about how this individual wouldn't leave the cake at the front desk like she was told. She said, I'm being paid to deliver it right to the individuals. And so she got all the way back into Google and delivered that. That announcement got her a job in that post. So I think it's just, again, taking steps a little differently, right? And that doesn't mean they have to be off LinkedIn to do that. You can do that no matter what. But if they're definitely off LinkedIn, get creative. Because again, a little difference can make all the difference. A little difference.
Yeah, Alex Bannon refers to that as the third door, right?
It's huge.
So definitely, get some muscle behind this. If this is important to you, don't just settle for, oh, well, I guess, I didn't hear from them. They ghosted on me. There's lots of different ways to get around this. I am going to stay for a couple minutes because I want to also make sure that we get Robin's question answered if you're still here. Kevin and Lauren, what do you think of using LinkedIn Sales Navigators to find and target the best people to build relationships with? So anybody who doesn't know this, Sales Navigator is an upgrade. You pay for this. What do you think about this, Kevin? And what can people do if they want to test it out?
You can, if you know somebody who has Sales Navigator, they can give you sometimes, depending anywhere from a 60 to 90-day free trial. If you don't have Sales Navigator, you can usually get a 30-day free trial. Right. So those options are out there. It's a great tool. It's going to give you more insights. It's going to break that 6 degrees of separation. So it's not cut off at 3, right? You can see a bigger picture. That can be huge. And so that's what they do. And that's what they charge for, right? Yeah. They're charging for access.
Exactly.
It is a great tool.
I think so too.
It does give insights. I don't particularly use it because for me, it's overkill for the relationships I want to create and the time frame I need to create them in.
There you go.
If I were a job seeker, I'd probably be looking at it, especially during the free trial. Now, what I would do before I got the free trial is if you're already a premium member, or I think there are a few courseworks that are open anyway for Sales Navigator. Take the courseworks in LinkedIn Learning, learn how to use the tool before you get it. Like, you don't buy a car and then decide to get driving lessons, right? So learn how to drive Navigator before you actually get your free taste. So then you're ready to go and you're using it day one going forward. It's going to make a lot more sense.
So great. Okay. I do want to throw this comment up here. Yes. For Michelle. Hello, Michelle. She's like, I like to be incognito. So here are a couple other tips about, what this means. It means the hollowed out is not active on LinkedIn and has push notifications on mobile. And then this is, yes, thank you, Elizabeth. You can turn off the status indicator. So, and then Sheena also, it was at Nike, this cake story. So there it is. So listen, everyone, I know that you have just enjoyed Kevin to death. So if you are not following him, do that right now. Do not pass go. Do not get off this call without sending him a connection request, of course, with something that you learned here so that we know that you are listening, watching, and taking it all in. And we will see you next week. We have an amazing guest every week. This is like one of my favorite things to do ever, is to be with all of you guys and bring so much excitement, joy, love, insights to you guys and LinkedIn for job seekers and for other people who tune in. So thank you, Kevin. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. It was a blast. Hope you guys had fun. Bye.
Thank you, Lauren, for having me.
Stay around, Kevin.